Hey, everybody, and welcome to the For Female Founders podcast series, where we are helping women in business learn to thrive, not just survive. I am your host, Sarah Bundy, and today we have Christine Hakkola with us, who is a business strategist and advisor for mostly solopreneurs and companies who are sort of in that service provider industry. So think doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, physios, RMTs, gym owners. Kind of the list goes on, and I'm sure Christine will tell us a little bit more about her, but we're going to be talking about how do you scale your business when you're a one-woman show, one-woman show. So Christine, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the type of clientele that you help? Because there are a lot of solopreneurs out there, a lot of service providers who are bringing solutions to the world, whether that's in healthcare, whether that's in business. Who do you service and how do you help them?
That is a great question. I primarily service female and non-binary service providers. Most of my clients work in the health and wellness space or in professional development, executive leadership coaching, but essentially anyone who's providing a one-on-one service that has the potential to scale.
That's awesome. And I imagine when you look at these businesses, they all have potential to scale in your eyes. Is that correct?
In my opinion, yes. I have yet to come across one that doesn't have that possibility.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that then. And why don't you pick a particular industry or job or topic that you like? So let's say it's a nurse practitioner. I don't know, pick something you like. Let's talk a little bit about what their life is like as a solopreneur and what you see for them and the challenges they have.
Sure. Well, to piggyback off your example of nurse practitioner, I have 3 clients who are nurse psychotherapists. So they offer mental health services.
Okay. And what is a day in the life like for them based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a nurse myself, but I was a mental health practitioner. So I resonate really strongly when I hear my nurse practitioners tell me what a day in the life is like. They're busy. Mental health is in really high demand. And most of my clients are really great at what they do. Most of them won't say that, but I can tell by meeting them that they have good hearts. They are really diligent. They are very, very well educated, sometimes incredibly educated for the place that they're at in their business. And they're just incredible. They get transformational results for their clients. So most of them have not had to do a ton of marketing. A lot of their clients come in through word of mouth referrals. Sometimes there's a little slow build at the beginning, but once they get known, their clients tell other people who tell other people who tell other people. And before they know it, usually within 1 to 1.5 years tops, they're seeing 20, 25, sometimes 30 clients a week, and they're starting to burn out. And then they start to worry about, can I take vacation? What happens if I get sick? What if I want to go on a parental leave? What happens if something happens to one of my family members and I have to take care of them? Because all of their income is dependent on them showing up and delivering one-on-one services. And sometimes folks struggle with boundaries around their time. I've worked with clients who are working 7 days a week, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day, and it's exhausting.
With Awin's marketing technology platform, you can easily discover the best partners who connect you with huge audiences of new customers. Understand how your partnerships are performing with intuitive reporting and only pay for the results you need. Start today and grow your own way with Awin. What do you find is the biggest challenge for them? Do you find it is burnout? Do you find it's scaling? Let's say they want to continue working in the business, but they'd like to bring additional people on because they have so much demand. Quality, it doesn't sound like it's sales and marketing, but what do you find are the biggest challenges for solopreneurs today?
I think it depends on where they are in their scaling journey. When I work with solopreneurs who haven't yet started to scale, I would say that the biggest challenge is burnout and just not knowing what to do. Perhaps they have an idea of what's possible, but there's just this big looming question or questions of, well, what do I do next? They have some ideas, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know what order to do it in. And even if they did, they really feel like they have no idea how to take that first step. And then on the other side, I have clients who come in who will have started to scale. They'll have looked up the ladder to see other female founders and what they're doing. And they've started to create a product or a scalable service, but then they get stuck because they don't know how to market to an audience who's going to buy something that's not a one-on-one service. Or they've started to build a team, but they don't know how to hire properly. So they've ended up with with people who are not a right fit for them or their organization, or even if they do have the right team members, they don't know how to delegate, they don't know how to manage, they realize there's a need for systems. So they start to get overwhelmed by everything that's required when it comes to scaling your business.
A great big thank you to our sponsors, PartnerStack. PartnerStack's ecosystem connects you to the world's largest B2B network for you to earn, connect, and grow. So I'm going to pause right there because I actually forgot to ask you a very important question, which is,
what's that?
What do you do? And how did you get into this? Because you're a founder, you're a solopreneur. What makes you qualified to do all the things that you're doing to support you guys?
I thought I'd missed that question. It's so much easier to just dive in.
Yeah, no, let's go. Sorry, please tell us more about you.
So I consider myself a strategist and a consultant, and I work with solopreneurs who want to become entrepreneurs and scale their businesses. I also work with entrepreneurs who are already scaling their businesses and need support to get to the next level. So most of my clients come in at that stage, and I work with them generally for anywhere from 1 to 3 years until they've scaled. Some clients want to then create an exit plan and understand how to sell their business. Yeah, that's what I do.
That's awesome. And how long have you been doing that for?
I dipped my toes in the water and started doing it before I knew I was doing it in the summer of 2016.
Okay, that's awesome. What do you enjoy most about working with independent solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, service providers? Some of the service providers I've met actually don't even consider themselves entrepreneurs or themselves.
That's true.
But yeah. What do you enjoy the most about it?
There are so many things I love. It's hard to pin it down. But if I had to, the biggest thing is watching the transformation of somebody who I can already see their raw talent and how amazing they are. When I meet someone, I see their potential and the impact that they could have on their community and the clients they serve down the road. So watching that come into fruition, seeing them grow successful businesses, successful teams, triple or 10x or 20x the amount of people that they serve, and just have a bigger impact on their community and grow something that is sustainable, that is transformative, and see them shift and become powerful, women just stepping into themselves is amazing.
Oh, what a nice job you have. It's a feel-good place to be. That's so good.
It is.
Let's try and break this down a little bit. So you've got women in business, women, non-binary people in business. They are providing a service and they love what they do. They're amazing at what they do. They're qualified, they're experienced, passionate. They have their client base. Mm-hmm. Now they're hitting a glass ceiling, or they are the bottleneck. What do we do to get them out of that? What is the next step to get them out of that? How do you help people who've hit their max not feel so maxed out and overwhelmed?
It's like you somehow just captured all my favorite questions, Sarah.
Hey, and I am the master of my questions come out in paragraphs, so you can answer anything that I just said.
I love it. Just get to pull out all the threads of it. Well, one of the things I find myself saying a lot to my clients is you can look out into the world, you can look up the ladder, and you can see a lot of different business models. And there are, I think, a limitless number of ways that somebody can scale a business. One of the things that is very, very important to me is ensuring that when I work with someone, we create a unique approach that works for them and works for their clients. And even though I have supported different founders to create similar business models, I've never done the same thing twice. I've never created the same scalable business in the same industry in the same way, because every female founder is different. Every business is different, and every niche that they serve is different. And I also find that it's very important that when a business owner is creating a scalable service, that it's something that they feel good about. If we're trying to create something that we just don't enjoy, that we don't buy into at the end of the day, that doesn't bring us joy, it's just not going to work. So the first thing that I do is reassure somebody that I'm not going to make them do anything they don't want to do. And I'm very interested in finding a path that's unique for them. And then what we do is we try to figure out what is the magic, because a lot of business owners believe that the magic, they don't call it that, but I do, the magic and the transformation that they provide for their clients that keeps them busy, that keeps clients coming in the door, can only be delivered in a one-on-one setting. And I don't believe that that's true. Every once in a while, I come up against something that challenges me a bit, like a massage therapist, but I still think there's ways to scale. We might not be eliminating one-on-one service entirely, but there are so many ways to capture the essence of what a service provider does and then deliver it in a different format. And sometimes that different format actually ends up being better. Many times service providers who are very good at what they do, they charge premium prices. Mm-hmm. So there are hundreds, if not thousands of people who can't access what they do because they can't afford it. So sometimes scaling looks like actually being able to service people who otherwise couldn't afford their offerings, just serving it in a different way, whether it's through independent contractors, courses, workshops, webinars, downloadable products, the list could go on. And then other times it's actually creating more premium products through a membership program or through a longer term commitment with higher touch points.
So you're talking about diversifying the service offering. If the maximum amount that a person can give is their time, there's only so much time in a day. The only way to scale from that, if you're going to stick to that business model, is to increase your pricing. But even at some point, that also
even then it's not scalable.
Exactly.
That's right.
So you help, or solopreneurs or service providers who are listening to this can think about, how do I expand outside of just me, myself, and I?
Yes.
And what can I do to create potentially a product? Whether that's a course or some kind of a self-service type of experience for someone that they can buy. What are some? Let's talk a little bit more about what are the specific products, and then how do you help them develop it? How should people think about what they can develop?
So a lot of my clients will bring on independent contractors and then have the independent contractor deliver the same or a similar method that they are. And then beyond that, running workshops, courses, mini courses. I have clients who've written books, created podcasts, and then monetize them. Any number of digital products.
I have a question.
There's some examples.
Many questions. Here's another.
Yes.
What do we do if the person who wants to scale is so maxed out? The problem is that they're maxed out, right?
Yes, that happens.
Maximum amount of hours that they can provide a service for. There's no more time in the day. Yes. And they know they need to diversify, but it takes time to write a book. It takes time to create a workshop. It takes time to create a product or a course. Yeah. What is the advice that you give them when they know they need to go do that, but they don't even know how to find 15 minutes in a day to have a shower?
Yeah. And I have clients who come in and that's where they're at. And some of them will say, I don't think I'm ready because I'm so busy. And I'll say, well, when are you going to be not so busy? And they realize never. So the first thing is that somebody needs to be at a point where they're willing to recognize that they're at a bottleneck. There's really nowhere else to go. There's only so many hours in a day. And if that's maxed out and a client doesn't even have time to shower, I'm going to hold space for that. We're going to take a real look at that first.
Example, but it's a thing. And there's no time to do anything for yourself.
Yeah. And for some folks, it's just a matter of me holding the space for that and really seeing it. And suddenly they'll reach a tipping point and realize I got to make a change. Other times clients will recognize that, but need a lot of support because it's not easy. Because making a change often means letting clients go, reducing your caseload and raising prices, which for heart-centered service providers is often a really, really difficult thing to do. And I think it can be done. I know it can be done with a lot of love and compassion in a way that serves both the practitioner and ultimately the clients at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to remember as well, people are willing to pay a premium for care and value, right? So just because you might think something is expensive because it's expensive to you and you have a big heart doing it, doesn't mean that the person who's paying a premium feels that it's expensive, because they might feel absolutely worth it and they're happy to pay that amount.
Yes. most of my clients have a lot of fear that if they raise their prices, their clients won't be able to afford them, and or they will lose all their clients. I have walked dozens, maybe nearly 100 practitioners through that process at this point, and I've never had a major fallout. I've never had a client lose all their clients. I've never had a client decrease their revenue.
Right.
I've never had a client have a really negative reaction to it, because there are ways that you can structure those steps that are very mindful and very cautious and very well thought out, so you can get the result you need without ever having to cause harm to a client.
I think that's great. And there's a couple things that people can think about too. Let's say you're a practitioner or you're a solopreneur and you're like, look, I need to raise my revenue. I need to raise my pricing so I can raise my revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at how much your competition is charging, and are you being price competitive? Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Two is you don't have to double your pricing. It could be a 10% increase in pricing. So if you charge, $100, increase it by 10%. Now you charge $110. That's not going to break the bank for someone who's already comfortable paying $100.
No.
Right? So it's not an unreasonable increase, but a 10% increase to you at scale over the course of the year or over the course of the month can make a significant difference, which then you could potentially invest back into your company to hire contractors to create new products or diversify, or to start to think about how to bring additional team members into the mix.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And just to take it a little bit further, a lot of practitioners don't realize that a very small price increase can result in a lot of time back. Right? Many of my practitioners will come in and they need to earn a certain amount per month. So we do the math, we figure out what's your current rate, how many clients do you have? What if we raised it by 10%, 15%, which often works out to $10, $20, $25, which to the client, 90 to 95% of clients aren't going to bat an eye at that. But when you do the math, it actually allows the practitioner to be able to reduce their caseload by 2, 3, 4, 5 clients in a week, right? Which buys them time to have a shower, to breathe. And a lot of my clients, they will only work for 2 to 4 hours a week on their business in the initial stages when they start scaling. And that's all you need to start making change.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Let's talk a little bit about, so we've got the conversation of your practitioner, you're a service provider, you're a solopreneur, you're doing the service, you're providing the thing, you've hit a glass ceiling. Now you're going to increase your pricing because now you're going to increase your revenue and potentially buy some of your own time back.
Yes.
Maybe you'll create some products or services or a course or write a book. Now you've diversified your revenue stream. What do we do? And at what point does it make sense for this practitioner to start to hire team members? And is that something you recommend for everybody? Or is there a qualification to that?
I'm really hesitant about making blanket statements. However, when I think back to all of the practitioners I've worked with, only one comes to mind that didn't end up hiring someone, at least on a very part-time basis or on a project basis. One of my mentors used to say to me, and oddly, I used this analogy earlier today with a client, that hiring is like an avocado. It's not ready. It's not ready. It's not ready. Darn, it's rotten. Right? That we wait for so long. I can't take credit for that. A really wonderful person in the marketing space that told me about that. But we wait for so long because we feel like we're not ready. And by the time we realize we need to hire, it's too late. So I generally encourage my clients to start thinking about hiring before they're ready and as they start scaling. At a bare minimum, having an administrative or marketing support person for around 5 hours a week to start.
Where do you suggest people find someone to provide the type of service that's needed without training involved to be able to do 5 hours a week, whether it's administrative, marketing, content creation, organizing schedules?
Yeah. One of the exercises that I got from another mentor of mine that I absolutely love, and I'm pretty sure she got it from somebody else, but I forget the creator, is a zone of brilliance exercise. So I have my clients do a grid and they put everything they're doing in their business that is in their zone of brilliance. So things they absolutely excel at, love to do, can't believe they get paid for it and would do it for free. Things in their zone of excellence, which they absolutely love, but they want to get paid to do it. Things in their zone of competence, which they can do, but somebody else could do them much better, and they would be perfectly fine not doing those things again. and the things in the zone of incompetence, which are actually harming their business if they do them, because we're so not great at that. Things like bookkeeping, maybe marketing, depends on your orientation. And many times things in the zone of incompetence are actually not getting done. I see this when I have clients come and, oh, I haven't filed my taxes in 3 years. So what I say to folks as a nice first step is to do this exercise and then look at the things in your zone of incompetence and lump them all into a category. If it all falls under finance, well, you probably need to hire a bookkeeper and an accountant. If it all falls under marketing, you probably need to hire a marketing VA, and to move up from there then into the zone of competence. So the first thing we do is identify what we want to outsource. Then we create a job description. And then depending on your industry and what's available to you, you put that job description out there. And then I have a whole process I walk people through for the hiring process to make sure they have a right fit.
Perfect. So I'm sure you're going to be getting some phone calls, Christine, to say, help me hire somebody. I don't know how to do it.
I'm here.
One of the exercises I've gone through is similar to that, is love, like, hate. What do I love doing?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, just what do I love doing that I'm happy to do for free, that I want to continue to do just because it brings me joy? What do I like doing, but it doesn't fill my bucket that much? I'm not energized by it, but I like it. And then what do I hate doing? It drains me. It just makes me so irritated thinking about the thing. I put it off forever.
Yes.
The hate things are the things you should be outsourcing.
Yes.
The things that you like should also probably be outsourced at some point. And then you focus on the things you love, and then your job is not a job, it is just a passion, and you are making money while you do the things that make you happy. And you create your systems, build your team.
That's it. It's so simple.
Look at us. Look at us making it simple.
Solving all the problems.
Love it. Cool. Well, what's we're coming up here on time, actually. So why don't you tell us something about how solopreneurs should think about the future? Because a lot is changing. There's a ton of competition. There's a lot of people coming into the space. Whatever space you're in, there's a lot of people coming into the space, and probably a lot of people already there. There are glass ceilings. There's changes in technology, all kinds of stuff going on. It's a lot, and it can be very overwhelming for people. So as you give some words of advice and encouragement to people thinking about their future in business, what would you suggest? Maybe give us one or two tips for them, please.
I love that question. And sometimes I hesitate to give advice to other people, especially about the future, because I don't know. I don't have a magic wand. What I do know, and what has always worked well for me, and what I'm using right now, given the changes I'm experiencing in both my personal and professional life, is holding true to what I know. Anytime I've gone outside of that or tried to copy what other people are doing, it never works. So what I've learned is to stay focused on my clients, stay focused on what I love to do, what's in my zone of genius and what's in my zone of excellence, and really just stay in my lane around that. I think when you focus on building relationships with the right clients, and you stay focused on delivering the service that you're uniquely skilled to provide, that gets you a really long way. And I believe you had Carly Cunningham on this show a little while ago. She's a good friend and mentor of mine as well. I've learned so much from her about brand differentiation and how important it is to stay true to your values and be clear about what you do that sets you apart in the crowded market space. So I think that's a really important piece. And the last piece I'll mention is just around technology. I'm no tech guru, but I'm listening to podcasts on Web3 and blockchain and like all the things, because I know that the world is changing and I want to be ready for it. And if those kinds of things fall in your zone of incompetence, you can hire somebody to do that.
Good advice. Hire away, find the right people, do what you love, stay true to who you are. I agree with all of those things. I would add in one last thought too, is know your audience, know your customers. And that kind of goes back to stay true to who you are. Find what brings you joy. And that's not going to be every customer. That's not going to be every single person who you could potentially service. There's a niche for everybody, I would argue. And so if you find that niche, sometimes it takes a little bit of soul searching and defining your own value system. But once you do that, suddenly the doors open up to all these people that you actually do want to service, that you can service, that you bring a very unique proposition to. And that's an easier way, I feel, and I find, to scale your business and find that joy and that energy again.
Totally agreed. Learning how to say no is one of the most important things we can do as a scaling entrepreneur.
That's it. Well, thank you, Christine. Loved having you on the show.
Thank you
for being here. If anybody wants to connect with you or reach out to Hakkola, your company, so that you can help them, what is the best way to reach you?
Either visit my website at hakkolahorizons.com. You can book a discovery call with me right off there. You can email me at christine@hakkolahorizons.com, HAKKOLA.
Love it. Thank you for being here. So nice to see you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's wonderful.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the 4 Female Founders podcast series. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and hit subscribe, like, or comment below so we can continue to support women in business by helping them thrive, not just survive. We'll see you on the next show.